It's Ron Jackson here, and I'm live. And this is actually a live stream about playing octaves on guitar, jazz guitar particularly. So I'm actually live on 4 different platforms. I'm doing the LinkedIn platform and also YouTube and Facebook and here on TikTok. So I'll answer any questions about playing octaves, and so if you want to, watch this video and then comment, please do, and I'll try to answer your questions too. And this is actually a public, live stream because I want people to know more about my Patreon account, which is Ron Jackson. Patreon.com/Ron Jackson Music. So I'm going to put up a banner here right now, so people can see this on my YouTube and stuff. Let me see if I can find that for you, and then I'm going to play you a little bit right now about octaves and things like that. So if there's any questions, let me know. And also, I'm having a Labor Day sale on my website. We can get my books and all kinds of cool goodies for 30% off if you use LD30. Okay. So if there's any questions, please send me a comment or anything like that. So if I'm going to play octaves, I like to do that with, you could do that with melodies. So let's take a song. So I'm going to throw an octave here. So I throw some octaves in there for now, just as like an intro. And then you could take some melodies and do things like do cool octaves right now. So what I did was I took a melody that I really love. I've never been in love before, and I've never really played it in octaves. So you should be able to harmonize your melodies in octaves. So people always asking me, how do you play octaves? So did you see how I was doing that? I was actually, first, there's 2 ways of playing octaves. If there's any questions, please send them to me. Hi Michelle. Michelle's watching. Thank you. So if I'm going to play octaves, first you got to understand how octaves are built on the guitar. So I like to do octaves like this between the 6th and 4th string. Let's do the open E. Then on the 2nd fret of the D string, you can play the E here. Now, so that's open and 2nd fret, but if you want to play that fretted, you're going to have to go up 1 fret to the F to the F. So that's one form of the octave that you do on the 6th and the 4th string. So you can move that up and practice that. Now, I'm using my 1st and 3rd finger. Yeah, everybody says, Michelle says I have a nice shirt. Thank you. This is from the Jazz Man, okay, just so you guys know. And so when I'm playing octaves, I could use my 1st or my 3rd finger to play this octave on the 6th and 4th string. Of course, you could use your 4th and 3rd or 1st and 4th. or whatever you want to use. I mean, maybe thumb, but I mean, I mostly do it with my first and third. And the first and third finger are your strongest fingers on your hand. Actually, your first and second two are pretty strong. So you could actually do it. So I mean, I like to use my first and third finger to play octaves. Hey, Vladimir from Serbia, how you doing? He says hi. Let me show that comment. So so that's how you do an octave on the first and fourth string, and then you could do the same kind of octave on the fifth and third string. Now move that up. So that's very common to play like that too. This is the easiest octave sax to play on the guitar. Okay, now here's where it gets a little stranger. You could hit the open D string, and then you have to hit the third fret of the second string. So the fourth and the second string is played like that. So when you play octaves on this, you got to do a stretch of 3 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually 4 frets, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here it's between 3 frets. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So, I mean, you could try to play the octaves with your first and third finger with a 4 fret stretch. But that's kind of hard. I usually use my first and fourth finger to play octaves on the second and fourth strings, okay? And the same thing with the first and third string. Now I'm going to answer some questions in a minute. So about the octaves, and this is all about octaves today. So I'm on TikTok. Everybody has questions on TikTok always. So I'm going to answer those TikTok questions. And anybody on YouTube watching, or Facebook, or LinkedIn, please ask some questions. Send them in the comments right now. So let me see. So that's how you play octaves between the first, the first and third string, second and fourth, third and fifth, and also fourth and sixth, like this, like this. Now there's some other ways to play octaves too, and I'm going to show you how to actually execute them with my pick and my thumb and my fingers. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me just answer a few questions here. Let me see what some people are saying on TikTok. What about Hendrix style octaves? I don't know what those octaves are actually. Can you tell me? The Hypothesis Fantastica. Someone's asking about Hendrix style octaves. I don't know how he does those. What are those? I'm thinking more like Wes Montgomery, Wes Montgomery is really the guy that started before Hendrix, I think. Wes Montgomery was actually before Jimi Hendrix. So I need to see what you're talking about. I'm going to research that after. I'm going to use my good friend named Google. Google's really good about learning some new things for me. So let me see. How does it feel playing a non-7 string? Oh, someone's asking me a good question. So you know what? I'm going to play some octaves on my 7th string, just so you know, in a minute. But it's easier to play 6th string than 7th string to me now. I'm not saying it's easy to play 6th string at all. I'm not saying anything's easy, but playing the 6th string is easier than the 7th string. It's harder to play 7th string. Physically harder, and there's more strings, obviously, so it's harder. I don't think 6th string guitar is easy either, so that's a great question. Thank you for that question, Brian 23. Let me see. Let me keep going. Let me go up and see what other questions were asked before. You tune, I tune right? What does that mean? I mean, in tune, I think I'm in tune. Watch. Now, look at this. I'm using my Peterson tuner here. Now, remember, this is a great guitar from D'Angelico that I got. But guitars are not perfectly in tune all the time, even if I tune them. I'll tune the guitar and then it'll go out of tune all of a sudden. If I bend the strings. Sounds pretty good to me. Sometimes I'll I'll tune the guitar. Next thing you know, it'll be, with the weather, the pitch will go up. So that's a great question. Now let me see. What kind of axe is this? So someone's asking what kind of guitar this is. This is a D'Angelico XL1. They discontinued this. I don't know. I mean, if you go to the D'Angelico website, you'll see me with a picture of it on their website. And I didn't know this was discontinued. They just put my page up on D'Angelico on the artist page. And I was like, this is a really great guitar, especially for the price point, you know, and it's not even made in the States, it's made in Korea, but it's pretty good. And but they don't make this anymore. They have newer models that I've got to check out. I have a couple of guitars that I have from them because I'm one of their artists. So it's pretty good. So we're going to talk about a few things later about how I do my videos and film stuff. We're absolutely live right now, and I always make sure I play live when I'm doing my videos. You can watch the playback on TikTok on my YouTube channel, because I won't save this on. They don't let you save long videos on TikTok, so you can just watch this whole video on my YouTube. So follow me on YouTube at Ron Jackson Music to watch this video back. Okay. Now let me go back here. Let me answer some more questions that I'm going to play for you about and talk to you about octaves. Now someone's asking me how does it feel? Corey Wong. I love Corey Wong. 5th and 2nd string. Yes, we can do it that way. We'll talk about that in a way. Hey, what is a power chord? I'll talk about that in a minute. And amp settings. This new strings do that a lot. Let me see. Any advice for a bassist? What style of music do you enjoy playing outside of jazz? There's a lot of questions here. But let me answer a couple of questions first. For example, we're talking about octaves mainly today. So look at this. So I played an octave like this on the 6th string and the 4th string like this. If you go across on the 5th and 4th strings, the same fingering, but when you get to the 2nd and 4th and 1st and 3rd, you have to do this stretch right here. But you can play it like this. Watch. And someone mentioned it there on TikTok. You can actually play the octave like this. Watch this. So I'm playing the 5th string. 6th string, excuse me, on the 5th fret, and then playing the 4th string right here. Now, I can play this like this too. So that's actually across 4 strings. Now listen to that, the guitar's not quite in tune, and I tuned it up. But remember, when I tune the guitar, the frets are always different from the open string sometimes. So look, this is a movable bridge, so it's not quite in tune. See that? It's a little sharp when I press it. And I'm using a really accurate tuner. So you can play like this. Now that's a little different, the sound. The sound's different too when you play octaves like this. So this is the same exact notes, but this form of octave right here is much harder to play. I never play these octaves like this, okay? And also you can play like this, 5th and 3rd string, or you could go 5th and 2nd. The intonation is much better here. See that? So if you really want to master the guitar, everybody, you've got to know how to play the same things different ways. So this is the same pitch. This way. See that? See that? Now, so when I go from the 4th to the 3rd string, to the 2nd string, I could go like this. The same thing. But remember, this is kind of weird. The stretch between the 6th and 3rd string like this is 3 frets, it's 4 frets actually. And then when you get to this 5th and 2nd, it's 2 frets. And when you get to the 4th and 1st, it's 2 frets. But it's 3 frets like this. So it's because of standard tuning. You can play your octaves like that. So we talked about how to play these physically. I mean, okay. We're going to talk about a few more points about octaves. You know, this is going to be a long live stream. You know, I'm going to go for a little while. I'm going to play a few different things, but I'm only playing these octaves. There's some more ways to play some octaves, and there's some other things you can add to octaves. But I'm using a pick right now. Okay, so with the guitar pick, you know, you got to make sure when you hit the octaves that you mute the string in between. Now, a lot of guitar players who don't know how to play octaves, or, you know, in general, it's hard for them to mute. I see a lot of guitar players, like some great guitar players, even like really with a lot of followers, they put like a little piece of like a felt thing. I have it actually, so they can learn, so it blocks the strings when you're actually playing notes, so you don't have the ringing strings. But I learned how to mute naturally with my own, with muting from my different kinds of, you know, for my left and right hand. You know, I'll do muting like this, so I can. So what I'm doing is I'm actually muting with my left hand a lot. One note, I'm hitting all 6 strings, but I'm muting all the strings. You see that? I'm hitting all 6 strings. But you gotta learn how to mute with octaves, because with octaves, muting in between the, you know, you gotta make sure you don't have that note ringing in between. And so I'm actually hitting all 6 strings. But you're only hearing 2 notes. That's a real technique you gotta practice. It's much harder to do with the octave like this. I can't really do it. I can do it, but I have to really concentrate to be able to hit all 6 strings and play the octave like this. See that? So that's really hard to do. So what I usually do to compensate for that, and you could do this too if you can't mute very well, is to play hybrid picking octaves like this. So I use my pick and one of my fingers that are loose right here. It's harder to do actually, but if you can't do it with hitting the strings like this. See, I'm hitting all 6 strings, but look at my left hand. When I'm hitting the 6 strings and playing these octaves, I'm touching, this finger's touching the other notes to block them from ringing. It's not perfect, but you can't tell really when you're playing fast. So what I'm doing is, I'm really blocking the strings with my left hand, or my fretting hand, what you call an acoustic guitar magazine, the magazine I write for. You call it your fretting hand because people are left-handed or right-handed. I'm doing a diminished arpeggio. So when I'm actually playing the pick and just hitting all 6 strings actually, but I'm blocking the strings with my left hand. It's a good technique. I'm actually practicing for you guys. So what I'm doing is I'm just playing these octaves, you know, and just using my pick this time. But who was the original guy that played octaves? Wes Montgomery. So is there any more comments here? So if you have any questions or comments, YouTube or LinkedIn or everybody, please ask me. So Wes used to use his thumb. Okay, so that's another way you can play octaves. So let me talk about that in a minute. Let me drink something here because my throat's getting dry. Coffee. So anybody, let me answer some questions here on TikTok because people there's a lot of questions here. What power chord? What is a power chord? So a power chord is like, so someone's asking me what a power chord is. It's basically an octave with a fifth in it. It's kind of weird on the jazz guitar. So it's basically, some people have a hard time playing a full bar chord, playing it clean. And so sometimes people just resort to playing just these notes of the bar chord. Now, usually they're played with the 6-string root, 5th-string root, but you could play them with the 4th-string root. It doesn't sound as good. to hear it like sounds like Asian or something, but it's kind of stupid. So those are power chords. And you know what? You can do your octaves like that too. George Benson does that kind of thing actually. But we'll talk about that a little later. Now let me see. Let me keep answering some of these questions before I keep going about octaves. Amp settings, please. So my amp, someone's asking about my amp settings. So I'm using a deluxe reverb amp, okay? And so I mean, I used to play with a really trebly sound. I call that trebly sound. So right now I don't use, I make sure on my amp right now, on my deluxe reverb, I have this Celestion 250 watt copperback speaker that I got. I'm a Celestion artist. And I replaced the speaker with this, and I sold them on eBay, the other ones, because I didn't need them. Because these speakers are really clean and powerful sounding. You can't blow them out, they told me either. So I'm going to try to blow it out after this. But anyway, so I can't blow the speaker out. So my settings on my deluxe reverb amp are volume 3. Because, I mean, if I play too loud into the speakers of my phone and my computer or my camera right here on YouTube, it'll distort. So I keep it really low. Here at home, I'll put it up to 5 or 6 on a gig, you know. And then I use treble on 4, bass on 5, and reverb on 3. And then I have the speed and intensity off. Okay, I don't need for the tremolo because I don't need tremolo. Okay. Oh, thank you, James Jr. James Jr. says he appreciates me. So thank you, James. So let me see something. I'm going to put my banner up about joining my Patreon here. I forgot to put that on. So if you want to get a lesson, a written lesson about my octaves, I'm going to be putting that up today or tomorrow on my Patreon account, which is patreon.com/Ron Jackson Music. So please follow me if you don't follow me here on TikTok or any place else, actually. It's everywhere. It's Ron Jackson Music, okay? And I always have cool material coming out. And just so you know, I have some great books that are out, you know, CDs, everything. Right now is a sale on my website. Use LD30 and you save 30% off everything on ronjacksonmusic.com/store, okay? LD30, Labor Day 30, because it's Labor Day coming up. So the sale already started. So just go check it out. You know, you can save money on books, on picks. I don't sell strings and stuff, but, you know, lessons. I have a lot of cool lessons about playing over giant steps and chord melody and all that stuff. So anyway, so let me see. There's a new comment here. Let me see this new comment. What was your first strong playing what's your first strong point playing melody or chords? Well, oh, that's a great question, James Jr. So I'm going to answer some questions on TikTok in a minute too. So the most important thing about playing melody and chords is make sure you know the melody well. The melody is the most important thing. I did a TikTok and Instagram, you know, and reel about this. Everybody knows the melody, even if they're not good music. You know, even I'm not saying good musicians. Even if they're not a musician, if you don't play the melody correctly, you could be like, I mentioned this before. You could be like average Joe or above average Joe, like Elon Musk. And if you're playing his melody wrong, Elon Musk's melody wrong from Tesla, he'll go, man, he messed up my song. And he wouldn't even know anything about music. But if you mess up the melody, that's terrible. Because you should know the melody first. Before learning how to improvise, play chords, anything. Even a singer, they should know the right lyrics. If you play the long lyrics, you know, like, it's my life. You know, playing like a song, it's my life. You know, whatever. Any song. If you play it wrong and sing it wrong, it's going to sound terrible. And everybody watching you is going to go, oh my God, he's playing that wrong. So, I mean, they might be just a plumber or something, you know. So the melody is the most important thing, James. And so when I'm learning songs, I really try to learn the melody. I try to listen to different versions. I look at a book and memorize it. You know, it's just like really important. So let me answer a couple more questions here. New strings do that a lot. Yeah. Any advice for jazz bassists from a guitarist point of view? You're a jazz bassist? Oh, cool. Who's that? That's Ben Molero. No, I mean, I don't know what to say about basses. I mean, I play bass too. The most important thing about playing the bass is really having a good groove. If you're playing jazz, really, learn a lot of tunes and make sure you know the changes correctly, know how to connect your walking bass lines. So when I'm playing walking bass lines, I play bass too, and I do it on guitar. So let's say I'm playing a song like I played a minute ago at the beginning of this session. I played this song called I've Never Been in Love Before. I use octaves. So if I'm doing a bass line for that, the chords are like the B flat major 7, G minor 7, F minor 7, B flat, and then B flat major 7, E flat major 7, D minor 7, G 7, C minor 7, F 7. So when I'm doing a bass line, I got to make sure if you're a jazz bass player, you got to make sure that you actually, first know how to do walking bass lines in two. I mean, like a two field, like a. I'm trying to mimic like a bass player, but it's kind of weird on my 6-string guitar. Then you gotta learn how to walk and make sure you really swing those bass lines and know how to connect the bass notes. So you got. So you hear I'm hitting the 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm trying to do all those crazy fancy bass lines and stuff, but anyway, you get the idea. So it's really important if you're a bass player or any musician. If you're playing jazz, you got to really learn tunes, guys. So I mean, there's so many tunes that I can't keep up with this. And I have like the solo guitar gig every Thursday, in New Jersey for the Jazz Foundation of America at Inglewood Hospital in New Jersey, and I just pull out the book right here, and I just try to make sure I know the tunes I know and learn new tunes or work on new tunes all the time, because there are thousands of tunes. Look at this. This is just one book, and it's crazy, man. There's so many tunes I don't know, and I know a lot of tunes actually, more than most people. It's like weird. So the most important thing if you're a bass player is to really learn tunes. So let me see. I'm going to answer a few more questions. Let me see. That was a great question, James. Let me see. Any advice for a bass player? What style of music? Oh, let me see. Let me go down here. I'm missing some questions here. So let me answer these questions. And what style of music do you enjoy playing outside of jazz? I love funk and R&B. I used to be a rocker too, but I really like people like. I have a friend that's actually playing with Nile Rodgers. I love the way he plays, like rhythm guitar. I love his playing, man. He does a lot of things. I love that kind of funky guitar playing. And Nile Rodgers, man, he's a monster. I love that guy. So, I mean, for example, I like all styles of music. I mean, like this, when you play a jazz guitar, it's like you really can't play that kind of stuff easily. I mean, I studied with Mike Stern, the guitar player, and he uses a solid body. And the reason why he uses it, you can't really rock out on a jazz guitar. You kind of need a solid body, because otherwise it starts to overdrive, and you can't get the same kind of response or sustain unless you use a solid body. So I don't usually play rock stuff on this guitar, but I have solid body guitars, tons of them. So I like doing that. Oh yeah, so okay, for my YouTube channel, or P. Dickens asked me, is asking, how do you remember tunes? Well, that's a good question. You know what I do? I mean, just one thing I like to talk to people about when you're learning how to play jazz or anything. If you want to memorize something, and I teach a lot. So, if you want to study with me, please, contact me. Go to my website, ronjacksonmusic.com, send me a contact, or you could actually go to ron@ronjacksonmusic.com and contact me and email me. But the best way to memorize a tune is just to memorize anything. You got to practice it every day. Just even if it's just a little bit. It's not about how long you practice something. It's the repetition. Your brain memorizes things if you do it every day, let's say for 2 weeks. So if I have a really important concert, guys, I'll practice that material every day, and I make sure I practice it. When I get there, it's already part of my playing. But if you just practice something for an hour and then you come back a week later, you're not going to memorize it. I'm telling you. I know this from experience. So when I'm learning a new tune, I'm still working on tunes, same tunes all the time, because sometimes it's a technical problem I'm having or whatever. You got to repeat over and over and over and over until you really get it. Okay. And so, and even the melodies I know, I got to review because you'll forget them. So if you, like someone asks you a tune and it's been a pandemic and you haven't played in 2 years that tune, you might have to review it unless you're a genius, So I like to review tunes that I already know, and sometimes some of the tunes I know already, I'll just figure out different fingering. If it's like I'm learning Donna Lee at a different fingering now. I used to go like this. So that's two different ways of playing Donna Lee, but this was harder to play when it was really up. That's really hard. So I'm trying to figure out a different way to play that at a fast tempo and because when you start playing fast and you're actually trying to learn a tune, it gets different when you start playing it live and you're on stage, and all the rehearsing you do can change because you ever practice something and you're a musician, you go on stage and it's like, oh my God, I can't play it right now. I've been practicing for days. So that's another variable too. If you want to learn a new tune, you got to actually go on stage and see if you really remember it. Okay, so it's more important to basically practice and rehearse every day till you get that tune correct. Okay, now chord progression is a 2-5-1. I get lost. You know what? You got to practice 2-5-1s just every possible way. So one of the ways is like practice them in sequence. Like I'm going up in whole steps. I'm D minor, G7, E minor 7, A7, F sharp minor 7, B7, G sharp minor 7, C sharp 7, or A flat minor 7, D flat 7. You can go down in half steps. So you got practicing in sequences. Different roots, easy fingerings, different ways of doing it. So the guitar is really heavy, or music is heavy. You got to really practice different sequences, etc., to get these things together. Now let me see. Let me keep answering some of these questions. Old string staying too longer for me. Humidity down here on the dirty coast, it changes a lot. Dirty coast, where's that at? Oh yeah, everybody, if you're watching my video right now, please share with all your friends here on TikTok. TikTok, I actually have the most followers on TikTok, but I've been kind of neglecting my TikTok. I need to post more in general. So please share, please follow me. And support my my channels and everything at Ron Jackson Music, and I'll try my best to accommodate you guys. It's hard work to keep up with the social media stuff too. So I'll try to answer my questions, and you can watch. Remember, you can watch this full video on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Instagram, of course, and my Twitter, and my LinkedIn. Okay, no, just kidding. So let me see the other questions. Isn't the jazz scale a natural major with a flatted third? Someone's asking me a major scale with a flatted third. Oh, so you're talking about the melodic minor. So, this was supposed to be an octaves lesson, but anyway, we're getting off track here a little bit because of the questions. So I'll get back on track in a minute. So when I'm playing a major scale, let's say C major. The scale you're talking about is the melodic minor, the jazz melodic minor. And in Berkeley, the guy who wrote a modern method for guitar, William Levitt, called it the real melodic minor. Because so basically, when you lower the third, you get a melodic minor scale. Now, in classical music, when you go up the scale, you keep the notes raised, and then when you back down, you lower them. So, I mean, in jazz, we keep them raised the whole time. So, that's a melodic minor scale. Now, it's very important in jazz to play the melodic minor scale because in melodic minor, the modes of the melodic minor are used a lot in jazz for all your fancy chords, for the altered scale. So if I'm playing, let's say I'm playing a C melodic minor. Okay, that scale. So that could be used over a D flat 7, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13 chord. Makes an altered scale, okay. Oh, sorry about that. A C7 altered. Oh, let me think about this for a second. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to do this in a different way here. I was right. Okay. So you get all your fancy scales from the melodic minor. So for example, if I play an F7 sharp 11, it's a C melodic minor scale starting on the F. Okay, etc. So every mode is different. Then you go up each mode, and you get all the modes of the altered scale, of the melodic minor scale. Okay, and then you get you get your Loki and natural nines, all kinds of things. So actually the C melodic minor is a B7 altered. Then you get the Loki and natural 7, natural 9. Okay, etc. So that's a great question. Let me keep going now. Can you play a solo, All My Loving, from the Beatles? Oh, I don't know that one. I already went over my amp settings. Castles made in sand, but probably used triads. Let me check out those Hendrix octaves. Oh my God, the tone is amazing. Thank you. Strings look like nylon. They are nylon strings, everybody. Let me keep going here. So someone was asking about my strings. So these are nylon tape strings, everybody. Right here in the middle. So I use them also on my 7-string guitar, okay? And so it's a really great sounding string, and I got recommended by Bucky Pizzarelli to do that, to play these, play that with these strings. So let me keep going here. Let me see, who's that? I can't memorize notes on the fretboard. Oh, someone said they can't memorize notes on the fretboard. So just so you know, everybody, it's just like anything. You got to practice learning the notes on the fretboard. So when I'm playing, let's say I'm playing something really fast. I mean, I can't really say the notes that I'm playing while I'm playing that fast. But if I stop if I stop myself, I know that's a G, G flat, F, E, D, D flat, C, B flat, A flat, G. I know the notes on the guitar, but it took me years to learn them. So it's all about practicing. I mean, you know, you got to do it over and over and over and over until you memorize it. Then I use books. Like I have a book over here. Let me get it real quick. This book right here. I use this book to learn how to read. Look at how thick this book is. It's all 3 volumes on the William Levitt book from Berkeley. So, you know, and I don't use tabs, everybody. I mean, I use tabs to teach my students so you can play the right fingerings. But people like Steve Vai, who's a really well-trained musician, knows how to write everything out, writes for different instruments. I mean, really an amazing musician who went to Berkeley like me. He could write out all the notes and tell you where to play them on tabs, but he can actually read. You know, he's a great reader. He's a really trained guitar player. So, I mean, you know, you could play all kinds of different kinds of music, rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, jazz, and know how to read. And transcriptions, just so you know, tabs are really great, but the you have to know what it sounds like. If you don't have the music, you don't know how to play the right rhythm to it unless you know how to read. So to learn notes on the guitar, it takes a lot of practice. But one good way is to learn how to read, because you're really learning notation, and then you can find the notes on the guitar. So I suggest that you actually do that. Otherwise, it's a process. I mean, it took me years to learn how to read. I'm still working on my reading and learning the notes on the neck. I mean, I know all the notes on the neck. It gets harder when you're up here, though. When you're way up here, it's like, wow, you know, it's really hard to say what that note, but I know what that note is: the C sharp, F sharp, D sharp, A sharp, or B flat. You know, so I mean, so then you can do things like this: go up an octave, find the note. That's a B flat or A sharp. And you have to know all your enharmonic spellings. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to reading. Oh yeah, thank you, James, the songwriter. Yeah, James says you gotta check out my lessons. Yeah, and if you want to, learn more stuff from me, definitely go to my Patreon, which is, this lesson is actually open to the public today, but this is for my Patreon, my patrons on Patreon. You can join my Patreon for as little as $3 a month. I'm going to change a couple of the tiers actually this week. I have a lot of things to do all the time, so the top tiers I'm going to lower the prices. So if you want to take a guitar lesson with me, it'll be cheaper to join my Patreon and take 1 half-hour lesson a month just for becoming a patron, okay? So it's patreon.com/Ron Jackson Music for people who are not watching on YouTube. So let me answer a few more questions. We're going to talk more about octaves in a minute again. Hold on, let me see. Did you happen to know why no one sampled Isley Brothers' Fight the Power Ever? I don't know why. I don't know that question. Making awesome look easy, huh? Thanks. Do you ever play the blues? Of course. I play some blues. Not as much as I'd like to. Could you listen to my song, giving me feedback? Emily, sure. Sure, send it to me. Thanks. Let me see these other questions. Just send it to me on my, on my TikTok here. Okay. Any tips for adding chromaticism? I use arpeggios, but struggling to make chromatic movement natural. So, chromaticism. So, arpeggio. So, let's say you take an arpeggio like this. Let's say you take let's take a C major arpeggio. So, one thing you could actually do is do approach notes. Approach from the bottom, chromatica. From above, then you have step below. From below, then or from above. You go do both of them. You could do from 2 below. I actually have all this on my website, all the chromatic approach notes. These are just approach notes, so chromaticism can be a little different, can have different meanings to me. But for example, I'm going to have some, I'm doing 2 notes from below. So you see how I'm doing it all over the neck? This is just a C chord. You should be able to play it on any kind of chord. So now also you can do that, also doing it with arpeggios like this. See what I did? I half step before each root note. Or you could go, I did a half step below the second arpeggio up the neck. So I can go like this, so you can see it easier. I mean, there's so many possibilities. That's the problem. So, you know, chromaticism can mean so many different things. And I usually do a lot of connecting chromatic passing tones. I'm playing over a C chord, but I'm just doing chromatic passing tones with the chromatic scale. You could do all kinds of patterns. I'm just doing any kind of chromatic stuff right now. So I'm just mixing these all up, everybody. So that's a great question about chromatic notes. Let me see. Let me go back over here now. Let me see some other questions. That was a great question about the beautiful ads. The sound is wonderful. Thank you. I'm trying my best. You know, it's really hard, everybody. When I'm live, it's hard to think sometimes because I'm getting all these questions and then I got to play it and think about how to answer these questions. So imagine you trying to do this. So it makes my brain a little tired. So let me grab some coffee here. Some coffee to help me wake up. So let me keep answering some questions. But before we keep going, the whole subject of this whole lesson was about octaves. So we're going to pause on the questions for a couple of minutes. I'm going to talk to you about how you execute octaves with your thumb. So for example, you know, Wes Montgomery played octaves with his thumb. And I had a friend that's seen, you know, I have some friends that's seen Wes Montgomery. And he was playing like, when you looked at his thumb, they would meet him and talk to him, and his thumb looked like it had like a pick built into his thumb. so that's kind of wild, you know, because he only played with his thumb. He didn't play with anything else. So, I mean, so that's another way. To me, it sounds better to play octaves with your thumb because it has a warmer sound. You know, the skin always sounds better than the pick. Listen to this. Thumb, pick. You know who's really great at playing with his thumb and is George Benson. I've hung out with that guy, and that guy, man, he plays everything great. You know, I'm not really good at playing like a pick, like down and up. I'll usually just play like. So what I'm doing is I'm playing with my thumb, and your most important thing when you're playing octaves, everybody, the most important thing to think about is to make sure you're playing like your single line melodies, or you know, phrases that you ever do, riffs or whatever you want to call them, licks, that you can play them with as an octave. So if I go like this, let me think of something. So see, I took that line. So you got to be able to play the line in octaves. So when I'm teaching people how to play octaves, you got to really take your lines and play them as as octaves. It's the same thing with chord melody. You should be able to do that too, like this. So I'm at, so what I did was I was trying to play the line as a chord melody. So there's a lot of chromatics in this, so I had to use a lot of parallel structure chord. So what I did was I tried to play everything as a chord melody. You have to do the same thing with octaves as well. So let me keep going here. Answer a few more questions. So that's how you do octaves with your thumb as well. So you got to make it, you just got to be able to execute the, you can play down. I usually just go down. But sometimes I'll try to play down and up like a pick. But I'm not really as good at it as with my pick. That's why I use my pick. I can play much faster than. So what I'm doing is a lot of picking there, but it sounds better with the thumb. So just so you know. So anyway, let me keep going. What is called? What's it called? Hello from New Jersey. Are you on tour? No, I'm not on tour. I'm going to Denver in a couple of weeks, everybody. So just follow me on my website. Everything's on my website. I'm going to Denver to do something at Denver, University of Colorado, Denver. A master class and a class about social media and how to use your social media, to market yourself. Because there's a lot of my students, man. You believe it or not, I meet on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. A lot of most of my students recently are from going live. I get a lot of my patrons as well. So if you want to join my Patreon, just join me. Remember, this is all about for my patrons. This lesson about octaves is going to be written out, and you can only get it on my Patreon account for free if you join my Patreon, or you have to buy it on my website at ronjacksonmusic.com/store. So join my Patreon at patreon.com/ronjacksonmusic. Like everything else is Ron Jackson Music, and you can get this lesson as well. Okay, let me keep going here. Let me answer a few more questions. Where am I from? That's a long story. Just so you know, I'm from actually. I was born in the Philippines. My father's in the military, but I'm American. I'm half Filipino and half African American. Now, someone was asking me about books. Here's my book. So my chord melody book is this right here, everybody. So you can find this on my website. Okay, it's called Chords at Your Fingertips. And I teach you how to do harmonizing like Chet Atkins, walking bass lines, and chord melody. Okay, and you can get this on my website. Right now I'm having a sale. Use LD20. I'll make a comment right here. LD20 to save 30%. LD 20. Oh, no, LD30. I'm sorry. LD30 to save 30% on my website. Okay, on ronjacksonmusic.com. Ron Jackson Music. I'm typing this in. Music.com. So just use LD30 on ronjacksonmusic.com, and you'll save 30% on this book and everything else that I have. I have t-shirts, all kinds of cool things. So this is called Chords at Your Fingertips. It's published by Acoustic Guitar Magazine and Hal Leonard Music. And I have 2 other books that are actually from them that are on their website that are on PDF form as well. Modes and mastery, and also picking lessons. Okay. And scales and mode mastery, and another one's a picking book. I don't know quite remember what the name is. Just came out. Okay, so let me see. Let me answer a couple of questions. You got an album? Someone's asking me. I got an album. I have about 9 albums, and here's some of the albums. I have tons of albums. Everybody, if you want to pick up my album, go to Spotify if you don't have that. Or if you want to get like real albums, you can buy vinyls from me. Here's some of my albums: Ron Jackson Music Standards and my other songs. Oops. Standards and my songs. I got a lot of albums. Acoustic Event Yours, all acoustic guitar. Flubby Dubby, my organ jazz band, Dream My Head. I mean, I have tons of CDs. Some are out of print, but you know, I have a bunch of albums. I'm going to be releasing another one actually probably in about a year or less, because I'm going to release one every year. It's very important to release records, everybody. So let me answer a few more questions. Want to transcribe some good lines tomorrow? Any ideas for a song? Oh, that's a great question. I mean, transcribe everything that you think you want to learn. That's what I would say. If you want to transcribe, just transcribe whatever you really want to learn, because you only want to learn things that you really want to learn because you love it. And then, you know, it's more important not only to transcribe, but know what to do with your transcription. So it's very important to transcribe, but you got to know what to do with the transcription. You got to take certain licks, certain phrases, and actually, translate it into your playing and use those phrases and riffs or licks in your playing and see how it's used harmonically and rhythmically. And it's really heavy transcription. That's the most important thing to do, actually, is transcribe. More than anything. You know, Wes Montgomery, I heard, learned every Charlie Christian solo by heart. But the most important thing, and Pat Metheny learned every sounds exactly like Wes Montgomery as a kid. But remember, that's a great basis, but you got to be yourself. So those guys became themselves, and you can't copy people. You got to be original eventually. So that's what it's all about. Okay, let me answer a few more questions. Jesus loves me. Thank you. I didn't know that. Let me see. Do you use a lot of triplets? Oh yeah. Thank you. I use triplets. Good sustain. Yeah, Wes played with the some. I know that. So someone's asking me about how do you mute my strings. So I mean, I mentioned this earlier. You could do a shortcut and put like this thing. I have it right here. You can put this little thing right here. Let me get it for you. It's like a little. Some people put this thing on their guitar. They put it right here, and to block the strings. But I don't do that. I use it now. That's a little too much to me. To block your strings. I used to use this, but it's better to learn how to block your strings with your fingers of your left or right hand to mute them. A really good exercise, I showed this on Acoustic Guitar Magazine, is some of my muting stuff with the pick, actually, for sweeping and all kinds of different stuff, is to do this exercise with a minor pentatonic, so that's easier. Hit all 6 strings with a minor pentatonic scale, A minor pentatonic, like this. What I'm doing is, with your left hand, I'm blocking, with my left hand, or your left hand, or your picking, or your fretting hand, if you're right-handed or left-handed, I'm blocking every note to stop the string from ringing. You have to do that with everything you're playing on the guitar. And it's hard to do. So I use also my right hand to stop, but most of the time I'm going like this. So it's hard to hit the first string without hitting those. I did it. So what I'm doing is I'm basically just hitting a string, hitting all 6 strings. I'm trying to block every note I can. Now when I get to the first string, it's easy. I just kind of. See, so that's a really good exercise to block and mute your strings. So you have to kind of do that exercise everywhere. So everybody, I'm getting tired now. It's about an hour I've been online. But thanks for all the great questions. So make sure, if you want to learn more about octaves, I join my Patreon. I'm going to have a lesson coming out today or tomorrow. And, or learn everything else that you want to learn. Also, I didn't pull my 7-string guitar out today, but it's right here on the floor, but I don't have time for that. So it's all about playing octaves today and answering some of your questions. So, and if you enjoy what you're doing, please follow me. If not, go to my website. There's a sale. Also, on the links here on the YouTube channel, you can actually, follow me on all kinds of different things. You can donate to Ron Jackson Music on PayPal if you want, or Venmo, or etc. If you want to, just donate. And I'm having a sale, LD30, save 30% on my website store. Everything, my books, my CDs. You can save 30% right now on my website. Printable lessons, giant steps lessons like this. So you can save on my website with giant steps arrangements and licks, easy giant steps shortcuts. Everybody wants to learn how to do a shortcut on giant steps. I don't know why. It's the hardest tune to play, and a lot of jazz musicians don't even like that song. Even me. No, I like giant steps. But anyway, so, thank you for everybody for will try to answer questions best I could. Sometimes it was hard to think when it got a little deeper, just because, I have to think a lot and play and talk. But you get the idea. The most important thing, even for me, with all this music and everything we talk about, is that you practice every day, all the time. Because that's one thing sometimes I don't do enough of. Even though I know how to play, mostly, is that you got to keep up with your chops with this music, because it's not easy. Once you think it's easy, it gets harder. So that's the most important thing. And please follow me, and I really appreciate you guys. And if there's any questions, you can email me as well. You can watch this video back on YouTube as much as you want. It's going to be up right now, okay? And so go to Ron Jackson Music on YouTube and watch the video. I answered all the questions I could on TikTok and on YouTube and on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk. Someone wrote to me in Cyrillic, from I don't know from where, and I can't understand what you wrote. So thank you, Mr. Cyrillic, on YouTube. And I'll say bye to everybody here. Let me end right now my broadcast on YouTube. You can go watch that now.